We'll now segue into questions that came in on LeapScholar's Instagram pages. So there were lots of questions that came in. So a big thank you to everyone who sent in questions. Of course, we won't be able to cover all of them, but we've picked out some of the best ones. So we'll get going with, is going abroad better after 12th or after your bachelor's? This is Janya who's asking you this question.
Going abroad or not going abroad, whatever works for you, just do that. So my sister actually came here for a bachelor's and I came here for my master's. So I actually have both she got a job. She's in a sponsored job with the NHS as a doctor. So she's doing fine. I got into master's, so I'm doing fine. So do what works best for you. If you think, you should, I think for me, what has really worked is the experience that I had back in India. So an engineering degree back in India, of course, it's valued over here. My 3.5 years of experience, what I had before moving over here has really helped me. So if you think you can get like a good opportunity for bachelor's back in India, take that and come over here for your master's. So, and if you think that what you're looking for in a bachelor's degree, because that was the same thing about my sister, we couldn't really find something perfect for her in a medical field, which is different, yet amazing. We couldn't really find that. So that is why we moved her over here in the UK for bachelor's. So if you don't find something, if you feel restricted, look for options abroad. There are many.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I think if there's like a solid reason for you to be investing in an education abroad, definitely go for it. But if you feel that, you can get the same value from maybe studying in India at a much cheaper cost, then you should absolutely go for that. Maybe, consider going abroad later on for your master's as you did. Then Ishwarya, who's asking you, will I regret not choosing to study in London? Is what she's asking. So you picked Birmingham, right? This is where you are. Birmingham, of course, a melting pot, but London as well. A melting pot. There are lots of, say, people of Indian origin in both London as well as in Birmingham. So I'm guessing that's probably helped you settle more. But London, of course, on paper at least, the fancier, the sexier place, but comes with its downsides as well. So your opinion on will I regret not choosing to study in London?
No. Literally I literally have one. No, you won't regret not choosing London, because I've stayed in London for a few months and I try and avoid London as much as I can. Honestly, London is a beautiful city, but the pictures that you see online and the things that are more pushed towards students. Oh my God, just look at the London Eye, the beautiful London. It's this much, and London is this big. And if you want to live in this place, you will be paying a minimum of 1 lakh rent. So, and even after paying 1 lakh of a rent to just stay in that, best place, you would have to even live in a shitty place. I live here in Birmingham, paying around the same amount for a 2-bed, 2-bath apartment. It's not about the city. If the city gives you opportunity, of course, go there, live there, for sure. But if you're choosing a university based on a city, that's absolutely wrong. Right. You shouldn't do it. Mm-hmm. That's not how you choose a university. If you're literally coming here for like a year to enjoy, if you have that privilege, if you have that money to, come over here, be in a course, get it done, party and go back. Yeah, of course, go to London, enjoy, make the most out of it. I'll cheer for you. But if you're coming here to, invest in yourself, if you're taking a loan, because even finding a part-time job is another job in itself, and, looking for other opportunities. If you're based in Birmingham or in Manchester, anywhere, you can still find opportunities, go for interviews. I have gone for interviews in London, like every now and then. I've done that. So I think picking up a city is really important. Just don't do it based on what London looks like on pictures.
Well said. Well said. You've got Rohiti now, and Rohiti's asking, when did you start applying for jobs? How long did it take for you to find one? And did you find it before graduation? You touched upon this briefly. You talked about the fact that, you only had 3 months to find a job. You had your backs against the wall and you were somehow able to, pull it off. But yeah, if you could give us a bit more in terms of details. When did you start applying for jobs? Because it's only a 1-year course, so it's hard to juggle everything, like your coursework, your extracurriculars, as well as finding whatever internships and full-time jobs for yourself. So how did you go about doing so?
So I started applying for a job as soon as I moved in the country. I didn't even wait for like a month. Oh, I'll do it after my first semester. I'm too busy. I have my, I'll do it after my dissertation. I'm just too busy. There's just so much. I was like, no. even if I get 65% in my dissertation, if I get a job, I'm fine. So I had my priorities set in my mind. The first job that I applied, the first interview actually which I went for was literally just 1 month later after when I joined the university, and that was in London. So I started applying since October 2019. I graduated in October 2020. In that time of span, I literally applied for more than, I think after 500, just stopped counting. So I applied for more than 500 jobs. The job that I'm in right now, I applied for this one around May or June when the pandemic was literally on peak in the UK. And so I actually applied for Aston. There was one more reason why I did, because there was this 1-year placement, which you get as well. So if I got a job, Aston would have sponsored my visa for like a year, and then I could have stayed over here for like a year. But because of pandemic, they actually cancel the whole the whole program, and they were like, oh no, yeah, we'll make an exception if you get something. But right when they had their window open for applying for that visa, there was literally nothing available. So I applied for this internship. It was more of an internship which I applied for, and they responded to me in October. So I applied in June and July, but they replied to me in October. And then they didn't offer me an intern role. That was a full-time role. But literally, it took me a year. It could take you 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, or whatever. I think the best strategy that I applied was not going after big companies and big names. I went towards more SMEs and smaller companies around my city, or Leeds, Manchester, because they were more approachable. Because if you have applied somewhere, and if you can speak to the hiring manager or someone, that's like a deal breaker over there. So it took me more than a year, and I actually graduated without a job. So that was absolutely heartbreaking for me. When I had given my all throughout the year and I still didn't have a job because I wanted a sponsored job. I had a job, but I didn't have a sponsored job. So that is how long it took.
Makes sense. And how long will it take to recover the investment? This is Anshika Sonthalia who's asking you this question. And we'll talk about part-time jobs as well, because part-time jobs can also contribute towards the recovery of the investment. But yeah, how long will it take to recover the investment?
So if it depends if you are going for a higher amount of course. So every course would range around somewhere. So a few courses for smaller universities range from 10 to 15,000 pounds. For some medium universities, it could be around 19 to 25,000 pounds. So 25 lakhs, moving upwards. If you're going to Oxford, it's 70, 80 lakhs. So that's really high. For me, it was 25. If I include my accommodation and my living expenses for like a year. So around 25 lakhs that I spend. On an average, if you graduate, you get a job which would be around 22K to anything around 30K. So I think you can easily recover the money in like 2 years. If you're paying back loans, that's a different situation, because when you live over here, you have to pay rents and everything. But if you're not considering, if you're just considering, okay, if I've invested 25 lakhs, will I get 25 lakhs back in like a year? You can. Just in the same amount. But if you have 25 lakhs that you have to pay someone back, that's a different conversation. Then you might take like 2 years, 3 years to like get all of that back and pay someone back or pay a loan back. Because if you're living here, if you're getting 1,500 pounds or a lakh and a half a month, and you spend 700 pounds on rent and living expenses, you just have 700 left. Out of that, which you will keep 300 or 400 for yourself, and just that leaves you with 300 or 400 or 500 pounds. You might put it into saving, or you may pay back your loans. So based on that, that's my assumption, maybe 2 to 3 years. But yes, if you get a job, you can definitely pay everything back. And I've actually seen a lot of students who especially in their bachelor's, because they have more time, they go on like doing a lot of different jobs, like part-time jobs, and a few of them actually pay their semester fees based on that as well. So if your fee is lower and if you are willing to work hard, you can definitely do that as well.
And speaking of part-time jobs, you talked about the fact that early on in the conversation, you mentioned that that the two types of jobs that you oftentimes have to juggle. That's the reality of being an international student, especially when you're trying to pay the bills. So one type being a job that advances your career. So this could be whatever, like a proper internship at a corporation or a full-time job at a corporation, and the other type being a part-time job, maybe as a waitress or as a librarian, as a receptionist, as anything that helps you pay your weekly bills or your daily bills, right? So how do you go about looking for part-time jobs? What kind of part-time jobs do you get on campus, perhaps off campus as well? Is it difficult to find these part-time jobs as an immigrant, as an international student?
Every university has this section. So they do have a section where you can go and look for full-time jobs, and they also have something for part-time jobs.
Okay.
My university did, and it was quite helpful. The first part-time job, which was just for like a few hours in a week, few times in a month, that was the ambassador job that I did. But it wasn't really helpful for me to pay anything. It was just maybe £150 or something for like a month, which wasn't useful at all. But then they also have these other opportunities, or you can just Google it, part-time jobs near me. There are a lot of different agencies who, recruit students for waitressing, going to football clubs, especially in the Premier Leagues. For example, Christmas is coming right now. They would have a lot of places open for race courses parties and different parties. So these agencies actually recruit students, and they, just put them anywhere. So either you can go for like, just walk into a restaurant or somewhere, if you see something like, okay, part-time jobs available, you can go for that, or go through the university. That's the most convenient way.
Mm-hmm.
The third one is go through these agencies, which actually have a lot of jobs on the table. So they can literally, and the best part about those agencies are that you can pick and choose the kind of work that you want to do. You're not bound to, oh my God, I have my lecture today. Should I, go for this one or leave this one? You can actually pick and choose according to your timetable. Okay, Friday is not good for me. Wednesday, I can do a day. I'll work on Wednesday. Okay, I'm available on the weekends for sure. Let me work on the weekends. Then there are that's all about the waitressing jobs and things like that. Then you have other jobs which are for warehouses. These warehouses jobs, they are another set of agencies who look for those kind of people who can work on this. So it's fine. You can definitely find a part-time job. Maybe not in the first few months. Maybe it takes you like a month or 2 or 3 to find something substantial, but you will. Then so that is what pays your bill. Then the second one is looking for an unpaid internship. Because as an international student, you are restricted to 20 hours a week, which you can work. But as a volunteering job or as an unpaid job, you can actually work in the other ones as well. So that's how you pick and choose where you want to work, what kind of skills you want to learn. If, for example, for me, it was marketing, and I wanted to, experience. Okay, so there are two things. There's in-house and there's agency-based marketing. So what I really want to do, okay, to make an informed decision later when I move into my career. So I picked up a few agencies, wrote to them, I would like to work with you. Is there anything available? There's literally one agency which I, did my internship for like 2 months, Freestyle. It's a digital agency, and one of the best times I literally had. It was really far away. It was like an hour and a half, but because I was willing to travel that much, because I was willing to learn, I used to earn from somewhere else and put it somewhere else. So that is how I managed. But if you are very sure of what you want to learn, like go for these, write them mails, go through your, you have your career counselors at your university, go to them, I'm looking for something. Is there something available within the university? If not, do you know someone? Can you connect me with someone? If you know your professors, just ask your professors, do you know some companies where I can work with? A lot of universities do have a lot of companies that keep coming in for, what's it called, different projects. So ask them if they have, any opportunity open. And networking helps you way too much, especially if you're in a city which is good in these things. Yeah, so that's how you go and find your part-time jobs.
Brilliant. A couple more questions on jobs, after which we can wrap up. Is it difficult to get a job in the UK if you don't do your master's from there, Shivangi?
No, it's not. So I work with a lot of, but it also depends in what kind of job. So UK has this whole list of shortlist jobs. So if you fall somewhere in that, you can literally look for an employer who can actually employ you over here, and they don't even have to pay that much of a visa fee to actually employ you because it's in a shortlisted job. And UK really wants a lot of, engineers, for example. So they would do anything to keep those engineers over here. So I work with a lot of engineers over here, and they are not on a sponsored, like my kind of a visa. They never did their bachelor's or master's over here. They came straight away from India to over here. There are a lot of companies even like TCS and HCL is still over here. TCS has a really big office back here in Coventry. So, companies like these, they literally do intra-company transfers as well. So if you want to try for that one, you can try for that, look for shortlisted jobs. That is how you get into a country without even, doing master's or a bachelor's. It's not important at all.
Understood. People say it's difficult to find companies that sponsor work permits for Indians. Is that true? Subhra asking you this question.
It is. We are not their first reference, of course. But if there's a company really looking for someone, and if you have the right skills, they will give you a job. Mm-hmm. I am an Indian. My whole team is of Britishers. My company is of Britishers, and I got a job over there because they never were really worried about my ethnicity. They were more focused on my skills. So if your skills are way more powerful, of course, as an immigrant, as an Asian, we have to, work a little harder. But if that sets you apart from other, the crowd, do it and you will get a job. Yes, it's very challenging, especially with, the post-study work visa. A lot of companies have realized, oh my God, we don't really have to, sponsor anyone anymore. We can just, have them on the post-study work visa and get them, working. But no, if you bring value to a company, they will keep you.
Absolutely. So in a nutshell, if you can prove your worth, prove your mettle, prove the caliber that you have.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think over here, back in India, we don't really, focus a lot on extracurricular activities, volunteer work, and, other things apart from, okay, I've done this internship, I've worked there, this is, my skill, this is how much percentage I got. Mm-hmm. Nobody cares about the percentage and anything over here. If you can prove like, okay, the soft skills, what we talk about back in India, they're not soft skills at all. They're one of the most important skills over here, especially communication, networking. If they think that you can communicate with anyone, you're warm, you're welcoming, and you're smart, you're professional, they will invest in you.
Fantastic. You've dropped some big truth bombs, some like gems, some nuggets of wisdom throughout the chat. So we'll sum up. We'll conclude proceedings by me asking you your advice to students who might still be on the fence right now with regard to whether they want to go abroad, whether they don't want to go abroad. It's a big decision. It's a big gamble from a financial standpoint, from various other standpoints as well. So what would your advice be to students who might be on the fence based upon your experiences, having studied abroad and now working abroad?
The first one is definitely, just trust your instincts, trust your gut feelings. If it says that, okay, I have to, if it's your calling, you will end up over here. You will do it, whatever it is. If it's in India, it'll be over there. A country doesn't, put a worth to you, and I think you will agree to it, no matter, where you have done your bachelor's or master's or whatever. But if you are really, questioning, okay, if, this will change my life, yes, it would. If you think there's an opportunity, which, if you're not getting back in India, if you get over here, could actually, enhance your career, help you move forward, go for it. But before doing that, just, do your own research. Don't trust, other people. There's a lot of negativity, and I've actually done one video with British Council as well. There's a lot of negativity around, oh my God, UK is so difficult for students. UK is so difficult for, Asians and Indians, and you won't get a job over here. I have hundreds of examples of people who have got the job, who have started their own business, or, are on the way to get their PR. I know a variety of people, so it's not impossible. So I think my one advice would be trust your instincts, do your own research. Don't, just fall into the trap of what other people are saying in terms of universities or cities where you should be, where you should not be, and then make your own decision. That's my whole advice, honestly. And then when you come over here, give it your all. Because if you're not ready to give it your all, don't come over here. Because it's a very challenging place. If you want to come over here to party and enjoy the life and just, have an amazing 1-year UK tour, go for it.
In fact, that was my next question. The first question addressed people who might be on the fence as to whether they should take the leap of faith or not. The second part of the question being, what advice would you give to people who've decided that they will be going abroad, be it the UK or the US or anywhere else? What advice would you give to them? You talked about the fact that you have to make the most of it. You might have 1 year or whatever. You might have a couple of years or maybe 4 years if you're doing a bachelor's degree. So make the most of it. You also talked about the fact that make the most of all the opportunities that your university, that your college is providing. Anything else that you would like to add to that in terms of advice to students who know they will be going abroad sooner rather than later?
I think networking is very important. Okay. You should always be out there, because you're building your brand. Nobody knows you over here. So it's very important that you build your brand. People know you for who you are, not exactly for who you work for or, what other things are, where you come from. No, they should know you for exactly what your skills are, what your worth is, and what you can bring to the table. The second, adding to all of these points, I think the last one would be to have a very strong mindset, because there will be situations, maybe if not early, maybe later, but there will come situations where you will be tested way too much. And in these situations, even I face that, and I like, oh my God, I wish my best friend was here. I do call her up and I'm like, oh my God, this is going on. And because I'm somebody who doesn't easily cry, I don't. But even if, there are situations when you don't really have any other option, where you would have to give up, just embrace your emotions, take a step back, look at the bigger picture, do what's right for you, and move forward. Because yes, the country, wherever you're going, it will test you again and again and again. Don't give up and have a very strong mindset and take care of your mental health. I think that is very important. Support, surrounding yourself with the right people. And when I say right people are the ones who are there, not just to, hang out with you when you want to party, but the ones who will be there when you don't want to party and you want to be, and when you want to work on yourself, and they support you with that. They call you and check on you. Do you need anything? Do you want me to help you with something? Surround yourself with those kind of people who are as passionate as you are towards the same goal, which is always, making most of the country wherever you are in, or the course that you're in, or if you want to start a job or a business, anything. Just surround yourself with the best people that you can. And that has really helped me.
And Pakhi, speaking of surrounding yourself with the best people, with the right people, there's one point that you forgot.
What?
That whenever, you might be going through a rough patch, a lean patch, just call Pakhi and seek her expert advice.
Oh, yes, of course. Anytime. I love helping students. I honestly love, because I think I've been through all of that and I never want somebody else to go through the same things. And sure, I'm always available. I'm not giving out my numbers. You can drop me a text on Instagram or LinkedIn.
So people can definitely schedule coffee or water with you. Either coffee or water.
Water.
Yeah. Super, Pakhi. Lovely. Love the chat. Again, thank you so much, for coming on a LeapScholar platforms, speaking so candidly with us as part of this episode of Unfiltered Conversations. As I, mentioned early on, there was some truth bombs, some gems that you dropped for all our students who are going to be watching this conversation. In case you guys have any questions, definitely drop them in the comment section. You can reach out to Pakhi as well by email or by DMing her. She's on LinkedIn. She's on Instagram. Pakhi, what are your social media handles? Where can people find you?
So on social media, one of the handles that I have on Instagram, it's an open account, and you can leave me a message over there. It's Cinefil Chic. It's CINEPHILE CHIC. If I'm spelling it right. Cinefil Chic. That's on Instagram. On LinkedIn, I'm as Pakhi Sharma. So you can find me over there, Pakhi Sharma Birmingham. So you can find me.
I can attest to that, because I did stalk you. I did look through your LinkedIn profile prior to the chat, as part of the extensive due diligence that I do whenever I'm speaking with anyone on our LeapScholar pages. Brilliant. So that sums up a beautiful, beautiful conversation, Pakhi. Thanks again for your time. And I'm sure, this is going to be
so much for inviting me. Honestly, it has been an honor. The first thing was like, I wasn't really aware of LeapScholar being this big of a platform. When I saw, people like following me, I was like, why are people following me? I just clicked on it. I was like, they tagged you in a story. I was like, oh my God, the amount of followers you have. So I think you've been doing some really great work. And for all the students, I think it's very important for them to actually know the good and bad, both, and then make a decision for themselves. So thank you for doing this for everyone out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Pleasure having you. Pleasure hosting you. And hopefully, we can have you again on a platform sometime in the near future.
I would love to.
Yeah. Take care. Lovely. Thank you.
See you. Bye.